If you need an ignition interlock, you probably have many questions. In fact, you should have many questions. A violation of this device is serious and can result in additional sanctions. This video hopefully answers most, if not all, of your important ignition interlock questions. Welcome. My name is David Jolly, and today I address the top questions regarding the use of an ignition interlock device. The ignition interlock device is installed on a motor vehicle and is connected to the ignition system. A driver is required to provide a breath sample to verify that the person does not have a breath alcohol concentration above a specified limit or set point. This is usually calibrated at 0.02. Ignition interlocks currently on the market have an anti-circumvention feature that is designed to prevent the driver cheating the system. Such systems include pressure and temperature sensors, in-vehicle cameras, to video test retests, and the ability to record all events related to vehicle use. Alcohol is alcohol. If the BAC found in the breath sample exceeds the calibrated set point, the vehicle will not start. In the case of mouthwash containing alcohol, if the driver waits several minutes, usually 15 to 20, for the mouth alcohol to dissipate and then takes a retest, the vehicle should start. I have done an entire video on this very subject, so click on the link above if you want to know more. But it's best to avoid spicy foods, sugary foods, foods with yeast, fruit and fruit drinks, and energy drinks. My advice is very simple. Don't drink within 15 to 20 minutes of driving, and don't eat or drink anything while driving, period. The ignition interlock will enter a short lockout period of a few minutes for the first failed test, followed by a longer lockout period for any subsequent failed test. This permits an opportunity for the alcohol to dissipate from the mouth and allow the driver to consider the reason for the failed test. If subsequent tests are not passed, the vehicle will not start. No, the device will only affect your vehicle's ability to start because it's connected to the ignition. If there was a problem while driving, for example, you did not provide a test during the rolling retest or provided a positive test, the car's lights will flash and the horn will honk, but the car will not turn off. Anyone using a vehicle with an ignition interlock must blow into the device for the vehicle to start. Any family member can use the vehicle and the device so long as they understand how to use it and don't mind the obvious inconvenience. The answer is yes, it will, but be very careful. Not all companies will install a device on electric or hybrid vehicles, so only get one installed through a company that has experience and check ahead. The camera verifies the driver is the one providing the breath sample. If others use the vehicle, the camera can provide evidence that the person needing the ignition interlock device was not the person giving the sample or attempting to drive in violation of their requirements. You may need a camera. Currently, September 2020, 20 states require a camera when installing the ignition interlock device. The states include Arizona, Colorado, Oregon, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Texas, Vermont, and Washington. The cost depends on where you live, but generally the cost is up to about $100 to either install or remove the device, and around $100 per month. Most states require the driver to pay for the cost and installation of the ignition interlock. However, more and more states are establishing indigency programs. In my state, Washington, the driver could complete a financial assistance application and file the document with the Department of Licensing. If you're in Washington State, you'll find a link in the description for this application. Most states will permit you to avoid having an ignition interlock device if you are medically unable to work the device. Examples might include COPD, bad asthma, and so on. In my state, Washington, it's called a medically tolling exemption if you are not able to physically operate the ignition interlock. If you're applying, you must have an examination by a medical doctor within 20 days of the application. Once again, a link to this Washington State application is in the description below. Be very careful with this. Do not remove the ignition interlock device until the Department of Licensing or Department of Motor Vehicles has given you permission. Most states will require the ignition interlock company to file a certificate of compliance first before removing the device. Please confirm with your attorney and with your state's DMV or DOL first. In Washington State, the compliance period is 6 months long, the final 6 months of the designated period. Compliance includes not attempting to start a vehicle with a BAC of 0.04 or more, not failing to take or pass a retest, not failing to schedule maintenance for the ignition interlock device, and so forth. If you do not provide a certificate of compliance, you must start the compliance period over. This is a great question, and the answer is maybe. In some states, including my own, there is something called an employer exemption. In such instances, you fill out the employer declaration for the ignition interlock, you file it with the Department of Licensing, and keep a copy of it with you when you drive the employer vehicle. Now, there are many rules with this exemption, so be sure you understand what you can and cannot do. A link is provided in the description below for the employer exemption in Washington State. All ignition interlock companies, not surprisingly, say the device will not ruin your car. For example, your car's engine or ignition and electric system. However, the truth is that an improperly installed device might cause damage to your vehicle, so it all comes down to the installer. I would highly recommend you ask the installer how many ignition interlocks they have personally installed before agreeing for them to install it on your vehicle. The device uses a telephone-type coiled cord, and the unit can be tucked under a seat or in a storage area when not in use. However, ignition interlock companies advise against this so that the device does not become damaged. Now, to limit your embarrassment when using the device, you can get tinted windows, or you can purchase a fake cup, like this. So it looks like you're actually drinking an enormous cup of coffee or blowing into an enormous cup of coffee. These cups also come in big gulp varieties. You put the unit in here, the mouthpiece comes out here, and you use it like that. For more information on the ignition interlock device, please subscribe to our channel, watch other related videos, or read our blog.